Hey everybody, Brandon here with another episode of Everyman Cigar, and today we review Rocky Patel's Vintage 1999 in Connecticut. So we're out on the road again today, and I brought along this Churchill. It's a 7x48 ring gauge cigar by Rocky Patel. It is the 1999 Vintage Connecticut. This cigar has a light creamy colored wrapper with small veins. The wrapper does have a fair amount of tooth on it. The cap is a double cap, and it smells like aged tobacco. The foot of the cigar smells basically like a sweet tobacco and slightly musty like an aged tobacco. So I'll go ahead and cut into this and light it up, and we'll get on the road, and I'll let you guys know how this thing turns out for me today. Okay, turn some air on in here so we can get it venting out the windows. I would say on first light up, the cigar's got a very open draw, very easy to draw through, and the flavors I'm getting are actually a little more bold than what I would have expected out of a Connecticut. I get definitely a wood type characteristic out of this, but it's like a deeper kind of burnt wood almost. And the retrohale's got a little bit of spice to it, but not a lot. So a little bit more than what I expected out of this. I would say probably definitely a medium-bodied cigar. We're gonna get down into this first third, hit that road, and I'll be back with you guys shortly. So I'm on the road today for work, a few hours from my home, and I decided to bring a Churchill today because it should take up a good bit of my time for the drive. And this particular stick's been in my humidor probably for, I'd say, a couple months now. It's just been kind of sitting there waiting to be smoked, and what better time than today when I have a nice long road trip. Well into the first third. The burn on this cigar is great. Nice razor sharp burn on there. The flavor profile I'm getting from this cigar so far, while there's not a lot of flavors on there, it's full flavored, meaning there's a lot of it to taste. So I'm basically getting three things. I'm getting some cedar through the retrohale, a little bit of a creamy burnt wood flavor in the finish, and then on the tip of my tongue I get a bit of a citrus, almost like an orange flavor. It goes away very quickly. The smoke is very thick and chewy, and there's definitely a lot of body to this cigar. We're gonna keep going down into that second third, and I'll be back with you guys to let you know what I think about it. Quick update. The ash on this cigar will fall off in 3/4 inch to 1 inch chunks. The ash is very powdery. It's still not bad. It's not like it just falls apart in your hand. But be on the lookout for that if you're sitting down. Make sure you have an ashtray nearby. into the second third here. The cigar is very consistent, very good, bold flavor. Definitely getting that creamy wood flavor through the retrohale. The citrus that I was getting on the tip of my tongue earlier has now developed into more of a sweet tobacco, which is really nice. I get that on my tongue and in the retrohale, and the finish is lasting almost all the way up until the next draw on the cigar. The cigar construction's been very well, performing great. Razor sharp burn all the way down. Have not had any construction issues with this cigar so far. Stick around at the end of this video. I will go through the scoring I give this cigar. When I get back to a stopping point, I'll record everything in my journal. But I had a suggestion from 18 Lines, link in the description below, to actually give you what I score these cigars. Now, keep in mind, these scores are subjective. These are my opinion, and I use these scores based on what I think. My scores might not match up with what you would find in a magazine, but they're for my use, and maybe they'll give you guys a good reference to start as well. Stay tuned right here. I'll be back in the final third to give you my final thoughts. I'm in the final third. Not really any flavor changes to note between the second and final third. Not necessarily a bad thing. The cigar's been pretty consistent. Sometimes you don't need a lot of flavor changes. If it's a good cigar, it's just a good cigar. And I'm really enjoying the bolder flavors from this Connecticut. Something I really didn't expect on first look, which may be why it was sitting in my humidor for a little longer. I generally don't grab the Connecticut's right off the bat. It's just because it's not anything against Connecticut's. I just happen to like the more bold flavor. And now that I've had this cigar, I will probably go back to this cigar a little more. And this may be one where I buy a box of. I'll definitely want a few of these on hand for friends or family when they come over for like a cookout or something. Great backyard cigar. Good, I would say even dessert stick, really, which typically I don't think of when I think of a Connecticut. So just a quick recap on this cigar before I go into the final score that I'm going to give it. This was the Rocky Patel Vintage 1999 in Churchill. Pretty consistent flavors throughout. Nice, bold, medium body kind of flavors too, which again, as I said before, I didn't really expect when I first picked this up with it being a Connecticut wrapper, but you can't always judge how that cigar is going to taste just by how it looks. Flavors I was getting, definitely a cedar flavor on the retrohale, a sweet tobacco from the second third all the way to the final third, and overall a great flavor profile for me. When I rate a cigar, there are 4 categories. The first category is appearance and construction. Before I even light it, how does that cigar look? Does it look like an attractive cigar? How does the band look? What's the construction of the cigar? Do the caps look like they're put on neatly? Are the seams tight? Are there any imperfections in the wrapper? How does it feel when you pick it up? Is it heavy? Is it mushy? These are all things you can take into account to give your score. We'll have a total of 15 points in this category, and we're going to go ahead and give this a 15 out of 15. It was a really attractive looking cigar. The banding was simple, but enough where you notice it sitting there. The seams were nice and tight, no imperfections in the wrapper. The color was a nice caramel color with some tooth. Just looked good sitting there. My second category are smoking characteristics. How did the cigar perform while you're smoking it? Was there nice smoke output? Did you have to relight it? How was the burn? Was it even? Did it go wonky? Did you have to touch it up? This cigar performed perfectly. This category will get, out of 25 points, I'm going to go ahead and give it 25 out of 25. third category is flavor. This is where this cigar may lose just a couple of points for me. The flavor was good, not a lot of transitions. It's one thing I take into account with that score is, one, did it have a good flavor? Two, how complex of a flavor does it have? Three, were there any transitions during the smoke? I didn't get a lot of transitions, so it's probably going to lose just a couple points for that. But overall, the flavor was great. In the flavor category, I again have 25 points, and this one's going to get 23 out of 25 points. And only lost those couple points only because there weren't a lot of transitions in the stick. The final category is your overall impression. And this is really where it comes down to more or less your personal opinion. You take those first three categories: how did it perform, what flavors did you get, and overall, what was your experience with the cigar? And I can say overall with the cigar, I was very happy with it. I'm probably going to only take 1 point away from that category. And that's only because that goes back to that transition. Although there's something to be said for consistency through a cigar. I didn't at any point have a bad flavor. The overall category is out of 35 points, and this will get 34 points. My total score on a cigar. My total score on this cigar is 97, and that's pretty good. Cigar's starting to heat up on me a little bit. It's probably where I'm going to end it. I want to thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked it, hit that like button. If you haven't already done it, please subscribe to my channel, Everyman Cigar, and we will see you guys in the next video.